So first up, let's...
Yeah, so this is some earlier stuff that we saw from Kitana, and as you can see, it ranges from something very modern on the right-hand side to potentially even something very intricate and more delicate, even a new look for her where she's hooded. And then we have something kind of in the middle that's more traditional, I guess, of what you'd think Kitana would look like.
Right. Would these be what you would call, would that be a speed?
That
almost?
would be probably the speed. Yeah.
Okay.
And how long on average does it take a person to do like a speed drawing?
It really varies.
Just
Again,
ranges?
they're just supposed to be quick iterations.
Sure.
It's nothing that we're really supposed to spend too much time on. That's what this next step kind of shows us, is just the more detailed, intricate line drawings that our artists can do.
So now you've kind of found silhouettes almost, and now you're kind of narrowing it down into where you really want to be.
Sure. Yeah, absolutely.
We got next here.
Okay, so yeah, this is interesting because we also decided to take a look at the dark side of Kitana. So on the right-hand side, you'll see some kind of more regal-looking kind of costumes, and on the left, maybe even something a bit more aggressive, right? So you see a lot of like metals, and again, more like ripped and torn, tattered clothing. So again, just different approaches, different looks.
Gotcha. Now here is something very interesting.
That's super special.
Spirit, would you like to make the announcement?
So, yeah, so absolutely. This is Kitana's second outfit, her alt uniform, which is kind of a throwback, or at least inspired by a lot of the MK9 stuff that she wore.
Yeah, it's more of a traditional look for her.
Definitely. So you see a lot of like the cloth and like the long loin that she has. Very traditional, but yeah, super excited that this one made it into the game. It looks really good.
And then we're going to move into sort of like, from the bottom to the top, we end up with this right here.
Yeah, this is, as we know, Kitana here, the final concept. And as you can see, we have a front and a back. And the reason, obviously, why we do that is because these concepts are given to our character artists, who then need to go in and digitally sculpt all these details into the model.
Okay.
Now, I'll have to say that in comparison to this game, to the last Mortal Kombat, the females seem to be a little more toned down.
Absolutely. I mean, the mantra from this game has kind of always been realism and heading towards a more realistic look. So same thing kind of applies to the proportions, where we try to kind of bring things back in per se to where they should be.
Awesome.
Women looking more like women do. Like
Exactly.
Little less. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna use words right now.
No, we're just gonna go ahead and move on to that.
I think we're ready to move on to some of Reptile's early stuff and sort of where we started there.
Yeah, so this is a great example of just exploring different looks for Reptile. And in this particular instance, you'll see that he's taken a more of an amphibian look. We even added a tail. We thought about doing that. I mean, that stuff starts becoming more complex, so it goes back to what I was saying again earlier. There has to be some kind of give and take, right?
Well, especially with gameplay too. Introducing a tail, that's going to open a bunch of different doors as well.
Right.
Sure. In this particular image, we're seeing a lot of like a take on the more ninja side of Reptile, which is obviously where he originates from. Right?
Well, they all. It's so funny. It's interesting because you look at the early versions of Mortal Kombat, and Reptile was just a palette swap.
Yeah, absolutely.
Until you get into higher levels of tech, you're not able to give him that sort of personality that is a lizard almost.
And we can do that now and really define who they are. So it's been great doing so, right?
Yep.
Yeah, I really like the one that looks kind of like a cobra, where it's got the cobra hood too.
Yep,
It's very
that's awesome.
cool.
So here again, as we get into a more detailed versions of the characters that we like or feel more fitting for Reptile, you'll see stuff on the right-hand side of this image where he's kind of has more of an aquatic feel, or a little bit more armor potentially than we would like. Because again, gameplay, you wouldn't, I guess, think Reptile would be so bulked down and.
Right, he's really agile, so I mean, you got to make sure that there's not too much armor on him and things like that.
Nimble even.
Nimble.
Right.
Awesome.
And the next one's kind of more of the just
Fleshing
more
it out.
iterations of.
Yeah, absolutely. Out of this here, we felt like the one on the far left would probably be a better fit. The others, like we said, a little too bulky.
Mm-hmm.
We need him to be fast.
And we may see that one on the left a little bit later, I
Yeah.
would say.
So this last step here is, again, characters we felt strong enough that we would like to take them to color. again, just more iterations. It's a constant evolving and iterative process. It's not like you know, you sketch one image and that ends up being the final skin.
And it's a big collaboration between everybody to kind of pick what they like and.
Sure. Yeah, here's some more kind of versions of the character.
Right. And now.
Yeah, so this is what we know as the...
This is Reptile as we know him right now.
Absolutely. So, you know, we felt for this particular skin that we really wanted to kind of go back to like the rawness of who he is. So you'll see a lot of the bone and rock and stone, and you know, it's just so fitting because you get both the reptile side and I guess the kind of ninja silhouette there.
See, that's what I wanted to talk about, because you had talked to me, we had kind of gone through some of this yesterday, and you had mentioned like the V almost using the rock is kind of harkens back to his ninja garb.
Absolutely.
It just kind of gives a touch of what that was.
Absolutely.
Which is awesome.
Yep.
And Spiro, this is the first time I think in Combat Cast history,
Yeah.
you're doing 2 reveals. You already did the Katana alt.
Yes.
What do we have here?
Well, this is the other alt for Reptile. This one I'm not going to really say too much about because it kind of relates to story.
Oh.
But you'll be seeing more of this version for sure.
Awesome.
A lot more stripped down, not as much bone, and yeah, excellent. We're not going to say anything more.
Yep.
Because the more I say, the more I get in trouble. So anyway, that is sort of